Hello, welcome to our family channel, Magic with the Minions. I'm Faye, and today I will be opening Blood Rites, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan Commander set, and they will be put into these Ultra Pro deck sleeves. So there we have our command counter. It's not that important. Here we go. We have our box. Looks cool. We have our collector booster sample deck. Vito, Fanatic of Ixalan.
Don't worry, names are,
Names are hard. 2 mana and 1 sun and 1 swamp. Legendary creature, vampire demon. Flying, whenever you sacrifice another permanent, you gain 2 life. If this first time this ability has resolved this turn, if the second time, each opponent loses 2 life. If it's the third time, create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying, 4/4. Kutzil Malamet Exemplar, 1 mana with a forest and a sun. Legendary creature, Cat Warrior. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Whenever one or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deals combat damage to a player and draw a card. It's a 3/3. Now we're going to do the deck. It's kind of hard to get out. So there's our my commander I'm going to play. There is our commander, Cavallino, First of the Blessed, 1 mana with 1 sun and 1 swamp. Legendary creature, Vampire Clerk. Whenever you attack, target attacking vampire that isn't a demon becomes a demon. In addition to its other types, it gains when this creature dies, draw a card and create a tapped 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. It's a 2/2. Carmen, Cruel Sky Marcher, 3 mana, 1 sun and 1 swamp. Legendary creature, Vampire Soldier, flying. Whenever a player sacrifices 1 permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Cameron, Cruel Sky Marcher, and you gain 1 life. Whenever Cameron attacks, return up to 1 target permanent card with mana value less than or equal to Cameron's power from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a 2/2. Return to dust. 2 mana with 2 suns. It's an instant. Exile target artifact or enchantment. If you cast this spell during your main phase, you may exile up to 1 other target artifact or enchantment. Martyr of Dusk. Creature, vampire, soldier, 1 mana and 1 sun. When Martyr of Dusk dies, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with a lifelink. 2/1. Swords to the Plowshares. 1 sun. Instant. Exiled target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Blood Artist. 1 mana.
Is that like you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 mana and 1 swamp. Creature vampire. Whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. 0/1. Bloodline Necromancer. 4 mana, 1 swamp. Creature, vampire wizard. Lifelink. When Bloodline Necromancer enters the battlefield, you may return target vampire or wizard creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. 3/4. Dusk Legion Zealot. 1 mana, 1 swamp. Creature, vampire, soldier. When Dusk Legion Zealot enters the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. 1/1. Falcon Wrath Noble. 3 mana, 1 swamp. Creature, vampire, noble. Flying. Whenever Falcon Wrath Noble or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. 2/2. Induclian Aristocrat. Anyways, that's hard to say. 1 swamp. Creature, vampire, noble. Lifelink. 2 mana. Sacrifice a creature. If you pay 2 mana, you get to sacrifice a creature. Put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control. 1/1. Oathsworn Vampire. 1 mana, 1 swamp. Creature, vampire, knight. Oathsworn Vampire enters the battlefield tapped. You may cast Oathsworn Vampire from your graveyard if you gained life this turn. 2/2. Village Rites. 1 swamp. Instant. As an additional cost to cast this creature, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. Viscera Seer. 1 swamp. Creature, vampire, wizard. Sacrifice a creature, scry 1. 1/1. Bartolome del Presidio. I don't know. Legendary creature, vampire, knight. 1 plains, 1 swamp. Sacrifice another creature or artifact. Put a +1/+1 counter on Bartolome del Presidio. 2/1. Cruel Celebrant. 1 plains, 1 swamp. Creature, vampire. Whenever Cruel Celebrant or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Etchings of the Chosen. 1 mana, 1 plains, 1 swamp. Enchantment. As Etching of the Chosen enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. If you pay 1 mana cost, you get to sacrifice a creature of the chosen type. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Legion Lieutenant. 1 plain, 1 swamp. Creature, vampire, knight. Other vampires you control get +1/+1. 2/2. Arcane Signet. 2 mana. Artifact. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Commander's Fear. 3 mana. Artifact. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Sacrifice Commander Sphere, draw a card. Heirloom Blade, 3 mana. Artifact Equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+1. Whenever equipped creature dies, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card that shares your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Equipped 1 mana. Mind Stone, 2 mana. Artifact. Sacrifice Mind Stone, draw a card. Have Signet, 2 mana. Artifact. Add a plains or a swamp. Soul Ring, 1 mana. Artifact. Add 2. Swiftfoot Boots, 2 mana. Artifact. Equipment. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. Equipped 1. Talisman of Hierarchy. Hierarchy. 2 mana cost. Artifact. Add 1. Add plains or swamp. Talisman of Hierarchy deals 1 damage to you. Wayfarer's Bauble. 1 artifact. Sacrifice Wayfarer's Bauble. Search your library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Bokua Bog, land. Bokua Bog enters the battlefield tapped. When Bokua Bog enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. Add a swamp. Command Tower, land. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Myriad Landscape, land. Myriad Landscape enters the battlefield tapped. Add 1. Sacrifice Myriad Landscape. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Then share a land type. Put them onto the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle. Warshau Basilica, land. Warshau Basilica enters the battlefield tapped. When Warshau Basilica enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Add plains or swamp. Charismatic Conqueror, 1 and a plain. Creature, Vampire Soldier, Vigilance. Whenever an artifact or creature enters the battlefield untapped and under an opponent's control, they may tap that permanent. If they don't, you create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink, 2/2. Elda's Hierophant, 2 mana, 1 plains. Creature, Vampire Clerk. Flying. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Yolanda's Hierophant. When Yolanda's Hierophant dies, create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is its power, 1/1. March of the Cannons, X and 2 plains. Enchantment. When March of the Cannons enters the battlefield, create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink. At the beginning of your upkeep, if your devotion to white and black is 7 or greater, create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. Redemption Shore, 2 mana, 2 plains. Creature, Vampire Clerk, lifelink. Coven. Whenever Redemption Shore enters the battlefield or attacks, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, 3/3. Dusk Legion Surgment, 1 mana, 1 plains. Swamp. Creature, vampire, soldier, menace. 1 and 1 swamp. Sacrifice Dusk Legion's Sergeant. Each non-token vampire creature you control gains persist until end of turn. 2/2. Master of the Dark Rites. 1 swamp. Creature, vampire, clerk. Sacrifice another creature. Add 3 swamps. Spend this mana only to cast vampire, clerk, and or demon spells. 1/1. Promise of Ascalazotes. 1 and a swamp. Enchantment. Full Rebirth. 2 and 1 swamp. Sorcery. Adventure. Sacrifice a non-demon creature. If you do, create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a non-demon creature. If you do, populate. Ordered of Scared Dusk. 6, 1 plains and 1 swamp. Creature, vampire, knight. Convoke. Flying, lifelink, and haste. Exalted. Other vampires you control have exalted. 5/5. Ostrich Command. 4 and 2 plains. Sorcery. Choose 1. Destroy all artifacts. Destroy all enchantments. Destroy all creatures with mana value 3 or less. Destroy all creatures with mana value 4 or greater. Kindred Boon. 2 and 2 mana and 2 plains. Enchantment. As Kindred Boon enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Put a divinity counter on target creature you control of the chosen type. Each creature you control with a divinity counter on it has indestructible. Mavrine Fiend. Dusk Apostle. 2 mana, 1 plain. Legendary creature, vampire, clerk. Whenever one or more non-token vampires you control attacks, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. 2/2. Radiant Destiny. 2 and 1 plains. Enchantment Ascend. As Radiant Destiny enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. As long as you have the city's blessing, they also have vigilance. Welcoming Vampire. 2 and 1 plains. Creature, vampire. Flying. Whenever one or more other creatures with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. 2/3. Bloodghast. 2 swamps. Creature, vampire, spirit. Bloodghast can't block. Bloodghast has haste as long as an opponent has 10 or less life. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may return Bloodghast from your graveyard to the battlefield. 2/1. Blood Tracker. 3 mana, 1 swamp. Creature, vampire, wizard. Flying. Pay 2 life, put a +1/+1 counter on Blood Tracker. When Blood Tracker leaves the battlefield, draw a card for each +1/+1 counters on it. 2/2. Butcher of Malakir. 5 mana, 2 swamps. Creature, vampire, warrior. Flying. Whenever Butcher of Malakir or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. 5/4. Champion of Dusk. 3 mana, 2 swamps. Creature, vampire, knight. When Champion of Dusk enters the battlefield, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of vampires you control. 4/4. Cordial Vampire. 2 swamps. Creature, vampire. Whenever Cordial Vampire or another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control. 1/1. Crossway Troublemakers. 5 mana, 1 swamp. Creature, vampire. Attacking vampires you control have Death Touch and Life Link. Whenever a vampire you control dies, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card, and it's a 5/5. Dam. 2 swamps, sorcery. Destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated. Overload. Drana, Liberator of Malakir. 1 and 2 swamps. Legendary creature, vampire ally. Flying, first strike. Whenever Drana, Liberator of Malakir, deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature you control. 2/3. Exquisite Blood. 4 mana and 1 swamp. Enchantment. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Glass Cast Heart. 2 mana, 1 swamp. Artifact. Whenever one or more vampires you control attacks, create a blood token. Pay 1 life. Create a 1/1 white and black vampire creature token with lifelink. Sacrifice Glass Cast Heart and 13 blood tokens. Each opponent loses 13 life and you gain 13 life.
Ooh.
Cool.
You're gonna look at trying to kill us.
Who wouldn't? New Blood. 2 mana and 2 swamp. Sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, tap an untapped vampire you control. Gain control of target creature. Change the text of that creature by replacing all instances of one creature type with vampire. Nighthawk Scavenger. 1 mana, 2 swamp. Creature, vampire, rogue. Flying, Death Touch, lifelink. Nighthawk Scavenger's power is equal to 1 plus the number of cards type among cards in your opponent's graveyards. +1 and 3. Olivia's Wrath. 4 mana, 1 swamp. Sorcery. Exile non-vampire creature gets take away X until end of turn, where X is the number of vampires you control. Pact of the Sermon. 1 mana, 2 swamps. Sorcery. Choose a creature type. Target player draws X cards and loses X life, where X is the number of creatures they control of their chosen type. Patron of the Vein. 4 mana, 2 swamp. Creature, vampire, shaman. Flying. When Patron of the Vein enters the battlefield, destroy target creature on opponent controls. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, exile it and put +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control. 4/4. Scantum Seeker. 2 mana, 2 swamps. Creature, vampire knight. Whenever a vampire you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. 3/4. Timother, Barvin of Bats. 4 mana, 2 swamp. Legendary creature, vampire noble. Ward. Discard a card. Whenever another non-token vampire you control dies, you may pay 1 and exile it. If you do, create a 1/1 black bat creature token of flying. It gains when this creature deals combat damage to a player. Sacrifice it and return the exiled card to the battlefield tapped. 4/4. Twilight Prophet. 2 mana, 2 swamps. Creature, vampire clerk. Flying. Ascend. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have the city's blessing and reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand, exile opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is that card's mana value. 2/4. Yannin Undying Partisan. 2 mana, 1 swamp. Legendary creature, a Theron-born vampire. Haste. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Yahini Undying Partisan. Sacrifice another creature. Yahini gains indestructible until end of turn. 2/2. Elenda, the Dusk Rose. 2 mana, 1 plains, 1 swamp. Legendary creature, Vampire Knight, lifelink. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Elenda, the Dusk Rose. When Elenda dies, create a X/1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is Elenda's power. 1/1. Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. 2 mana, 1 plains, 1 swamp. Legendary Planeswalker Sorin. +1, create a 1/1 black vampire creature token with lifelink. Take away 2. You get an emblem with creatures you control get +1/+0. Take away 6. Destroy up to 3 target creatures and or other planeswalkers. Return each card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under my control. 3. Utter End. 2 mana, 1 plains, 1 swamp. Instant. Exile target non-land permit. Vana, Butcher of Megan. 3 mana, 1 plains, 1 swamp. Legendary creature, Vampire Knight. Vigilance, lifelink. Pay 7, then destroy target non-land permit. Pay 7 life. Destroy target non-land permit. Activate only during your turn. 4/4. Blade of the Blood Chief. 1. Artifact Equipment. Whenever a creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature. If equipped creature is a vampire, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead. Equipped 1. Isolated Chapel. Land. Isolated Chapel enters the battlefield. Tapped. Unless you control plains or swamp. Add plains or swamp. Shine Shadow Snarl. Land. As Shine Shadow Snarl enters the battlefield, you may reveal a plains or swamp card from your hand. If you don't, Shine Shadow Snarl enters the battlefield tapped. Add plains or swamp. Temple of Silence. Land. Temple of Silence enters the battlefield tapped. When Temple of Silence enters the battlefield, scry 1. Vault of the Archangel. Land. Add 1. 2 mana, 1. If you pay 2 mana, 1 plains and 1 swamp, creatures you control gain Death Touch and lifelink until end of turn. Valdrin East. Land. Add 1. Pay 1 life. Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a vampire spell. Create a blood token. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each vampire you control. Windbrisk Heights. Land. Hideaway 4. Windbrisk Heights enters the battlefield tapped. Add plains. You may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if you attacked with 3 or more creatures this turn. Path of Ancestry. Land. Path of Ancestry enters the battlefield tapped. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. Rogue's Passage. Land. Add 1. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Secluded Courtyard. Land. As Secluded Courtyard enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Add 1. Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type or activate an ability of a creature source of the chosen type. Tainted Field. Land. Add plains or swamp. Activate only if you control a swamp. Temple of the False God. Land. Add 2. Activate only if you control 5 or more lands. Unclaimed Territory. Land. As unclaimed territory enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Add 1. Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type. Plains. plains, plains,
They're all the same. Repeat.
plains, 3 more plainses, 2 more plainses, swamp. That's a cool looking swamp. And that is 2. Swamp, 3 more swamps. Another 3 more swamps. Four more swamps. They're looking pretty cool. Swamp again. Ooh, tokens now. Vampire. Token creature, vampire. Lifelink 1/1. Vampire demon. Token creature, vampire demon. Flying 4/3. Vampire. Token creature, vampire. Lifelink 1/1. Token creature, vampire demon. Flying 4/3. Vampire. Token creature, vampire. Lifelink 1/1. Token creature, vampire demon. Flying 4/3. Vampire. Token creature, vampire, lifelink 1/1. Vampire demon. Token creature, flying demon, flying 4/3. Vampire. Token creature, vampire, lifelink 1/1. Vampire demon. Token creature, vampire demon. Flying 4/3. Bat. Token creature, bat, flying 1/1. Vampire. Token creature, vampire, lifelink 1/1. Bat. Token creature, bat, flying 1/1. Vampire. Token creature, flying, lifelink 1/1. Blood. Token artifact, blood. Discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Vampire. Token creature, vampire, lifelink 1/1. Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. Innistrad. Emblem. Creatures you control get +1/+0. Vampire. Token creature, vampire, lifelink +1/+1. City's Blessing. Vampire. Token creature, vampire, lifelink 1/1. And then this just shows you what to do. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and stay tuned for our family game night video.